Okay. So, I don't know how many people, if any, will like jump on here because I haven't been on here in such a long time. So I'm gonna just like kind of jump right in. Now, if you're watching the replay, then probably skip to maybe like 4 or 5 minutes to get to kind of like the message, I guess, what's on my heart to say. But I just wanted to start out by saying, okay, so the last video, not the last one, but the one before that, that I actually like, I guess, actually sat down and recorded or whatever. I'm gonna link it below, but about the single mom motivation, and a lot of you have literally subscribed based on that video. It has literally taken off, and I did not expect it to. It's the craziest thing because I would literally before sit down and I would like record and take so much time recording and take hours, days sometimes editing videos. One, just to create like good quality content, but then two, I really liked it. It was like a creative outlet for me, right? Um, so I used to do all of that, and I mean it was cool. My channel was growing very, very slowly. Watch time was like real low sometimes. Um, but this video, so it was the last one that I recorded, and it was actually a podcast. I sat down with my cousin and we recorded a podcast, and I was just like, let me just film some random clips. I'm just gonna throw some like B-roll, right? I had gotten like real fancy. I'm gonna throw some B-roll over it, and whatever, call it a day. And I probably spent maybe 30 minutes. I mean, actually, like after I filmed the footage that day, just kind of like chopping something up, throwing it over to audio, and I just uploaded it, called it a day. And I forgot about it. Literally, I just forgot about it. That was right before COVID and everything, like all the shutdowns kind of happened. I had just stopped flying, and I had this whole grand plan of what I was going to do. And a part of that was to be more consistent on YouTube, right? And then it just didn't happen. I literally just stepped away, and I never really even like looked at my analytics. I never looked at my videos. I never looked at just any of that stuff. I was just completely stepped away from it. So really until a year later, the top of 2021. So that was like maybe February, March or something of 2020. So literally like January, February, no, like February, March of this year, 2021, I just so happened to go back and look at it, and I see like all these comments and that the video was like taken off. They had taken off back in like November of 2020. And I was like, this is crazy. Like it just took off, right? I had all these new subscribers, and I'm just like, wow, that like if I knew that it was gonna like do this, then I would have I would have put like better video over it, you know what I mean? But that's just how things happen sometimes. So, but because of that, like there are so many new subscribers, and you really, I guess, don't too much know who I am. A lot of my earlier videos I had taken down just for like personal reasons. Um, but yeah, I just want to say hello. I just wanted to say that I'm so happy that you decided to subscribe. Um, my heart is to be here consistently. And I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I'm gonna be here every Sunday at 9 o'clock because I'm not there yet. But what I will say is probably this form of content, just like going live, just say what I gotta say, doing it live, and then just going on about my day. That's probably gonna be the style of video going forward. But yeah, I just want to say like I'm so happy that you decided to subscribe, even if it's just like based off that one video, or maybe if you watched like a few others before. I'm just so happy. My heart for even starting this channel was for moms. And moms, I don't want to go into a whole spiel. I'm gonna keep it real short. But my heart is to see moms walking in purpose, to remember that you were created for a purpose, on purpose, and that can't be forgotten about in the midst of motherhood. I know it's hard. I know that putting your kids first, or even if you're like married, putting a spouse, a significant other, whatever, first. I know it can be a lot. I know that you can forget about yourself in the process, but you can't. And my heart is to see, like I said, moms just really walking in purpose and not forgetting about themselves. So that's why I even started this channel. Two, since becoming a single mom, that's become like an added layer of my heart, because I know the insecurities that come along with it. I know feeling like uh, you're not good enough anymore, feeling like damaged goods, feeling like you're not as worthy, especially if your life was headed in a completely different direction. If you have worked to be better, to do better, and I'm not saying nothing crazy. I'm just saying, coming from the Black community, being a single mom, it's something that I saw that played out. So it's like that's all I saw was brokenness, broken homes, whatever. I wanted different. I wanted better. I wanted mommy and daddy in the same house. Like that's what I wanted to see. That's what I was striving for. Um, that's what I'm saying. I wanted better. So I know what it's like to be like on that path, and then you end up right where you never wanted to be in the first place. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to walk through that. So I guess the second part of my heart is to see single moms thriving and not just surviving throughout your days, because I also know how easily that can happen. It's just like if I can just make it through the day, right? I will be okay. So for all of the new subscribers, that's my heart. I'm glad that you're here. I'm really, like I said, when I started this channel, my heart was just to be open, transparent, to be vulnerable. I felt like if God had allowed me to walk through something and now He wanted me to turn around and talk about it, fine, okay, I'm an open book. I'll do that. So that's just to all of the new, literally hundreds, probably maybe almost 300 subscribers new at this point, maybe more. I don't. Yeah. Well, so anyway, yeah, but that's for all the new subscribers that have come along. Let me just hold on one second. Um, okay. Okay. So I'm gonna keep going. Um, that's my heart. Okay. And that's why I'm here. And that's hopefully what you'll be able to see more of if you stick around. So now it's way past like the 5 minutes that I said, but this is kind of what's been on my heart. I wanted to let you know that it's okay to not be okay. It is okay to not be okay. And as I was kind of getting my thoughts together, because I didn't I didn't want this to be like too long, because I'm super tired. Plus, I just didn't want it to be super long. As I was getting my thoughts together, that just kind of came to me based on kind of where I am, the season I've been in, the last probably month that I've been walking through. But then also just other things, just like what I've heard today at church, and whatever. It is okay to not be okay. We live in a world where the expectation is to be perfect. The expectation is to have it all together. The expectation is to have a plan, stick with the plan, master the plan, and just kill it, right? It doesn't always go that way. It doesn't always work out that way. Um, and it's unrealistic to have this expectation that you're always going to be okay and that you always have to keep it together, because you don't. You don't, right? Um, so if I'm going to go back a little bit, because I guess starting at the beginning of this year, when I really started leaning more into God, and I started really when I really made the decision that, hey, you know what, I'm laying it all down. Like I'm done. I'm tired of being a little G God of any area of my life. Like I'm laying it all down, right? I started to get this joy. The more that I got into church and I was serving and I was leading a small group and all these things, there was just this joy that I was experiencing. And if you, even on like my Instagram, if you kind of go back, I don't post a whole lot. Like, I don't like to post just to post. Like, if I'm posting something, it's because I want to make an impact. So, but even if you go back, you can just kind of see in those videos, I'm just like, oh yeah, and I'm happy and I'm joyful. And I'm just like, yeah, like, whatever. Like, I hope y'all are like joyful too, whatever. And I'm not gonna say that that's gone, um, but it has dwindled. It has dwindled, and specifically, very specifically speaking on the last probably month, right after my 30th birthday. Like, I went into my 30th birthday and I was just like, this is gonna be great. I'm not gonna be depressed about turning 30. Excuse me. Like, this is a beautiful thing. I'm grateful to be walking into this new season of my life, and I'm looking forward to how it's gonna look differently than the last 10 years of my life. So, um, everything was good. Like, and literally overnight, something's switched. And I think there were many different reasons. There are many factors, but something just shifted overnight. And literally every day was like harder and harder. I was more and more impatient. I was more irritable. I just felt like this heaviness, this weight on me, and I just couldn't shake it. I just couldn't shake it. And then I kind of, how will I say, just everything that I was dealing with, right? There it was just this is just a whole lot, a whole lot. But there was just like a weight that I felt on me, and the joy was just not the same. Like, that light had kind of dwindled again. And I won't say that it's gone. I won't say that at all. I won't say that oh, I'm not happy anymore or I'm not joyful, because that's not the case. It's just not being expressed the same way. The joy is still there, but my like irritation, patience, like all that kind of stuff is rising based off of my circumstances, based off of this weight that I feel, this pressure that I feel around me. That's rising. And I feel like for me, I felt that more than I have felt the joy. So this is what I'll say. I realized I was sitting in church today and I just kind of had this moment, and I was like, you know what? Like, it's okay. And I think I had started to almost beat myself up a little bit, because it's just like, you should be happier than this. Like, you should be good. You should basically not be down. But that's not how it works. Literally, God, he told us there's gonna be bad days. It's gonna be hard. There's gonna be trials. There's gonna be tribulations. There're gonna be tests. There are gonna be burdens. He told This is not like a matter of if, or like, I don't know, it just depends. When. When. Okay? When it will happen. He didn't promise us sunshine and rainbows here. Not here. Not on earth. No. Now, we don't get sunshine and rainbows promised to us on earth. Will there be good days? Absolutely. Will there be joyous occasions and things that happen? Absolutely. But there will also be bad things. There will. And I had this moment where I was just like, you know what? Like, it's okay to feel down. Now, it's not okay to wallow in self pity. It's not okay to stay down. It's not okay to be a victim. It's those things are not okay. So that's not what this is about. It's okay to be down, but it's not okay to stay down. And there's a distinction. But you also, in that, and recognizing that, okay, you know what? Recognize that, hey, I'm not okay right now. I'm not okay, and it's okay that I'm not okay. But it doesn't stop there. You have to take some onus in that. You have to say, okay, now going forward, what do I do? What needs to shift? What needs to happen? Do I need to lean back into God? Do I need to make some changes in my life? Like, what needs to happen? So it doesn't just stop there. But I also had this moment where it was actually just like this very beautiful moment that it was like, you know what? Even in that these moments, even in being down, he's still there with me. Like, I'm not walking through this down season alone. I'm not walking through that by myself. He's walking through that with me. And if y'all have ever heard that song, there's like, I guess, a whole bunch of renditions, but I think it's called Hills and Valleys. But literally, the same God who is there on the mountaintops, at the peaks, when you're at your happiest, where you're at your best, the same God that's there, He's the same God that's down with you in that valley. And I just had this moment where I had to realize that I might feel off, or I might feel like, let me say it like this. So I might be frustrated, right? I might feel frustrated. I might want some things to change. There is a very specific promise that God made to me. And I'm a I'll say this because I keep going off on like different tangents. And I'm trying I'm trying to just like go straight, but I keep like getting lost in these side paths. But like I'll say this. I used to hear people say that and it was like, okay, like are they just taking something from the Bible and just applying to themselves and claiming it for themselves and saying, God told me this? I didn't really understand how that worked. But earlier this year, I was like, well, I mean, God, I've heard people say, you told me this, or you promised me this, or whatever. I want a promise to hang on to. Can you give me something for me to cling on to? Um, and he did. He did. But that didn't happen. That happened maybe 3 months after I completely surrendered myself, after I was already in my process, after I was already denying my flesh, after I was already making very tangible, very real changes in my life, after I was already very intentionally putting him first. That had already happened. My heart had already shifted. My heart posture was already in the right place. So when I said, God, can you please give me a promise? Can you give me something to cling on to? Like I want to know God told me this. God said this to me, and He did. He did. I can't talk about it right now, um, but when I do, just be ready. Just be ready. But yeah, and He did. He did, and He gave me something, and then He gave me confirmation after dream after dream after dream, and I I was like, "Does God do this? Like, does God is this even a thing?" But so I'm also in that space because that was back in March when I got this. And then, I mean, all these confirmations were coming heavy, and then it kinda just tapered off, right, over the months. And then I started feeling like, "Well, am I crazy? Did I make that stuff up?" It felt real good and I was real hyped back then, but now it doesn't really seem like I'm not hearing this stuff like I used to. What's going on? So I'm also kind of in that season where it's like, it's like you know something is coming, and you might even know exactly what it is, but you gotta just sit there and wait. You just gotta sit there and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. So at first it was like, "Oh yeah, oh you said okay, yeah, I'm on right, I'm hyped." And then that we in month 10, and I'm like, "But you said, but you said," and I mean, I know some time has to pass. I know some things probably have to happen. I know some healing maybe got to take place, but like, God, you said. So I'm kind of like in that space too, on top of just life happening, right? So I think that I had also started getting more frustrated about that situation. And I realized that I had started not that I was aligning, like doubt and insecurities and things like that has started to creep in regard to the promise. And it's not that I started to agree with the promise more than I was agreeing. Um, it's not that I was agreeing with the doubt and the insecurity more than I was agreeing with the promise, but I was agreeing with the doubt and the insecurity in spite of the fact that I knew what God had told me. Like, even though I knew I was still allowing myself to come into some form of agreement with this like insecurity and doubt. I was. And I had to repent of that. And I'll say this, that as soon as I did, as soon as I realized that, as soon as I repented, as soon as I was like, you know what? I know what you said. I know that I know, and I'm not crazy, and I'm going to agree with this promise that you've given to me because it's such a beautiful gift, and you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to tell me that, but you did. And I'm going to honor that. I'm going to value that, and I'm going to come into agreement with that, with what you said. What you said. As soon as I did that, literally that night, he gave me another dream, reconfirming it all over again. And I didn't realize until I was thinking about it a little bit earlier, but in that dream, um, he specifically spoke to some of the insecurities, I guess, that were popping up, and I didn't even really put that together until tonight when I was kind of thinking about it a little bit more. So, like I said, I was just kind of in the season where there was a lot going on. Like I'm waiting on this promise. I'm getting frustrated because it's not happening. I'm just frustrated. Like kids, if you have kids, kids are kids, they're toddlers. Like it's a lot. It's a lot, right? So I don't even have to go into that because if you know, you know. If you're a single mom, you got little ones, multiples, you know. Okay, so I don't even got to go into that whole thing. But I'm working. I'm back in school. There's just a lot, and I just felt this weight, and I just couldn't shake it. And I'm just like what is going on? Like, and I started to feel bad because I'm like, I don't want to be so irritable with my kids. Like, I don't want to be snappy with them. I don't want to um like not necessarily walk around in a bad mood, but just walk around in this funk. Like like I'm kind of secluded. I want to be to myself. Like all these, like I don't want to necessarily be in that space, but I am. And I have to accept the fact that I am in that space. But like I said, no wallowing and no just staying there, getting stuck, playing the victim. I've never been about playing the victim, woe is me. Like in all situations, i- in all situations, there's a level of accountability that can be taken on your part. There just is. I don't care what the situation is. There's a level of accountability, and that's not to say like it's something. It's as extreme as maybe you were like taken advantage of sexually. Okay, that's not your fault. You didn't, bring that on yourself. Whatever all these things, but there is an accountability on you to say, you know what, this may have happened and it had nothing to do with me. It wasn't my fault. But going forward, the accountability is on me to say, this isn't what happened back here is not going to wreck my future. That's where that accountability take. Not in saying, oh, well, this part, maybe I shouldn't have been out late. Maybe my dress shouldn't have been too tight. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about and going forward and saying, you know what, it happened. I got to deal with it. I got to heal from it. But I got to make sure that going forward, I have to take the accountability and the responsibility to say, going forward, it's not going to affect my future. That's what I'm saying. In all situations, there's a level of accountability that can be taken. So I'm never about like playing the victim. Woe was me. So I say that to say, I just had this moment, and I feel like I keep repeating myself because I wish I could say it more eloquently, but I can't. When you are in that space, when you feel the weight of you're in a waiting season that you know like okay, I'm like waiting on a promise, or you know that you know what, I'm in a situation It's not where I used to be, but it's definitely not where I want to go either. You don't necessarily have a promise attached to it. You just know I'm in transition or I'm in that in between. There's a heaviness that can come with that. There's a heaviness because the waiting season, whether you know, like you have words, language to put on that, whether you know, like, okay, I'm waiting on this specific promise, like, whatever. Um, that waiting season is meant to prune you. It's meant to grow you. It's meant to develop you into that person that you are supposed to be, your higher self. That's what it's meant for. So it's not gonna feel like rainbows and lollipops. It's not. It's not. It won't. It's not. It can feel heavy, and you can if it can feel burdensome, honestly. Um, and that's just being real. Like I would love to sit here and say, like, oh yeah, I'm waiting on X, Y, and Z, and or I'm not where I exactly want to be in life, but everything is well. Everything is hunky dory. But it's not. I mean, it's not like that, you know? Life isn't like that. And I just wanted to, like I said, to just let you know, because even when I came to that realization, it was, I mean, a few years ago, but I came to the realization that it's okay to not be okay. Even that was shifting for me. Even that was groundbreaking. It was revolutionary. It was revolutionary because the messages that we always hear is, "Come on, get yourself together. Get it together. If you're not together, then you need to figure it out so you can be together." We have to also accept that space where things are a little shaky. They're a little unstable. But I will say this, even though I felt like during this time, I'm like, oh, like I can't shake this weight. Like this, my joy isn't just exactly the same as it was. I will say that my faith, my faith in God, that never wavered. That never shake. That never was shaken. That never changed. That never diminished. Um, as far as the promise, like I said, I did let doubt and stuff creep in there pertaining to that. But my faith in God, that was never shaken. That 100% remained the same. And like I said, it was just like a beautiful revelation to just really understand that even now, even when I'm not feeling it, even when I'm just like, I just want to be left alone. Like I just want to be by myself. Like he is there. So for those of you who do have kids, there are moments with your kids when they've gotten in trouble, they've made a mistake, they fell down at the playground, they've hurt themselves, where you want to swoop in and you want to make it better and you want to stop the bleeding and you want to stop the hurt and the pain. You want to just make it all right. You want to make their world perfect again. And sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you need to do that. But as you evolve in parenthood, as you try to parent intentionally, as you try to really raise your children, there comes a point where you realize you can't always swoop in and make it better. You can't. You literally can't. Either because one, you can't. Like it's literally something that there's nothing that you can do about. They have to just go through it. Or there's a recognition that I want to so bad, but I see past this and I see that you need this and this is going to grow you and that this is going to mature you and that this is going to teach you a lesson. And if I just swoop in here and make it better, you're not going to get that lesson, and so you're going to have to repeat this again. And I need you to learn this now. I need you to learn this. I need you to feel the pain of being cut and bruised or whatever so that you don't have to feel that pain again. Because if I swoop in right now and make it better, I'm going to cripple you, and I'm going to be doing you a disservice as your parent. And so, God, He is parenthood. He is parenthood, right? God being the ultimate parent, the ultimate father, He understands that far greater than we ever could in our limited understanding. Far, because He literally knows everything that we're going to walk through. So He knows every single situation where we have to be in that position of we got to pick ourselves up off the floor. He knows every single one of those moments where we have to take that responsibility to pick ourselves up. He knows where He needs to do it. He knows where He needs to carry us, walk beside us, hold our hands. He knows that because He knows everything that's to come. So even God, sometimes in this waiting season, He takes a step back. He might have been pouring into you, and then you feel like, wait, God, where you go? Where we was just in this thing, and you was like leaning on me heavy, and I like felt the joy of the Lord, and you was just like giving me revelations, and we was just in this thing together, and then now you just gone. You just left me. You just left me here for dead. I get real dramatic sometimes, but that's sometimes how I feel. It's like, okay, God, come on now, like where you go, where you go, where you at? But I believe that God does the same thing. Just as us as parents here in the physical will pour and pour into our kids, and then something happens and we have to take a step back and say, let me step back and let me see what you're gonna do. Let me see how you're gonna handle this. Let me see how this is gonna grow you. God is the same thing. So if you're feeling that like, wait a minute, wait, where you at, God? Where are you at? It might be an instance where He's just stepping back just to see, well, what are you going to do? I've been pouring into you. I've been giving you instructions. Are you going to take them instructions and run? Because I'm not going to give you the next one until you do what I said before. And I'll wait because I'm patient. I'll wait. I'll literally wait. That now it can be a situation where we've kind of stepped away. We've, gone off on our own. But sometimes God, He steps back and He says, all right, let me just see. And it's hard. It's hard, right? Sometimes those tests when He steps back and say, hey, I've been pouring into you, you know what to do. You know, you know, you know. That's why we have to have wisdom and discernment. So when He steps back, sometimes we like freak out because we're just like, no, I need you literally here, like baby stepping me. And so then when you step away, you want me to be a big girl. It's like, they're not ready for that. And it just came so unexpectedly. So yeah, and I think that's where I was, and it felt very frustrating, and it felt heavy, and it felt burdensome. Um, but I'll say this, because I'm not gonna just keep repeating myself, because I think I've driven that point home enough, I guess, and I hope that it resonated just the way that it resonated with me. But I will say this. Along with that point, back in high school, I came across this. I don't know if it was a parable, short story. I don't know what it was, but it was about this little boy, and he was walking along. And I'm gonna super paraphrase this, but he's walking along with his grandfather, dad. I don't know. He's walking along with somebody, his daddy. I don't know. And they come across this butterfly, and then the butterfly is trying to like break out of this cocoon, and the little boy's like, oh no, he needs to help, I need to help him. And so he runs over and he breaks the cocoon for the butterfly. And he's like, okay, there you go, little butterfly, like you're good, you're free, like go fly. And he leaves, and long story short, the butterfly dies. May have heard it before, maybe have not. But I heard it back in high school, and I thought it was the most beautiful illustration for life. I always have. I thought it was just the most beautiful, and so I ended up. I believe this was my junior year because senior year, when I was doing a lot of like applications, like college applications, I remember putting this quote everywhere, everything. But to kind of sum up that story, I came up with this quote, and it's the struggle to escape the cocoon strengthens wings. And when the fight is over, the butterfly emerges to share its beauty with the world. So, this is what I will leave you with. There can be a weight, there can be a burden that you feel as you're struggling in your cocoon, in your dark place, in your lonely place, the place where you feel caged in, the place where you feel there's literally no way out. You don't see a way out. You don't see help coming. You're literally just in there alone, by yourself, struggling, right? That struggle is strengthening you in literally what is required to sustain you. That struggle to break free out of your cocoon is needed. One of the things that I had learned kind of early on in my journey, especially as it pertains to like healing and going through things, is if you don't walk through it, you can't heal from it. A lot of times when things get difficult, when they're too hard to handle, when they're too hard to manage, then we want to say, whatever. I'ma just like I'ma just whatever. I'ma just zone out. I'm just gonna shut down to that. I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm just gonna say, oh, I'm good. I'm gonna act like it's good when it's not really good. And essentially, we never deal with it. But if you don't deal with it, if you don't um, heal it, if you don't walk through it, then you can't heal from it. We can't be a we can't be afraid of the pain. We can't be afraid of the struggle. It's uncomfortable. It sucks. It sucks. That weight that you feel, that burden that you feel, that fight that you have to go through, it sucks. But it's strengthening you. And if you want to truly become all that you are to become, you have to go through it. You have to. You have to. It is literally your fight. It is your fight, and it has your name on it. But when the fight is over, when the struggle is over, when you've broken free out of that cocoon, then you emerge to share your beauty, your light, your joy, your story, your testimony, your triumph, your victory with the world. You emerge as your evolved self. You emerge as the person who God sees when He looks at you. But if we negate the process of going through the struggle, because the weight of the waiting season got too hard, we say, you know what, this is too much. I'm done. I'm going back to my old self. I'm going back to my old coping mechanisms. I'm running back to the arms of that man because you know what? It's comfortable. It's comfortable, and I'm sick of being by myself, or I'm sick of being in this position, or I'm just gonna go back to what I know because at least I know it. That mentality is never gonna get you to where you're supposed to be, to where you're walking in alignment with all that God has for you. So, like I said, like I kind of started this with, it's okay to not be okay. During that waiting season, when you feel that weight, literally a weight, when you're in that in between where you feel like, hey, I'm not where I was, but I'm definitely not where I want to be. Um, when you're waiting, literally waiting on a promise from God that He's promised you. When you like, hey, God, you said, but you said. um, when you start to feel burdened by that, know that it's okay. It's okay. Just feel it. Feel it. Let it work whatever it's supposed to work in you. Let it work it. Whatever comes up, deal with it. If you feel frustrated, okay, explore that. Why am I so frustrated? Why am I so irritated? Why am I so bothered right now? Right? That's all that it is. That's all that it looks like of dealing with it, of walking through it. It's examining yourself. It's recognizing it's not like not being okay, but then being like, oh, I'm just gonna pretend that I'm okay. No, it's saying, okay, I'm not okay. I'm frustrated, I'm impatient, I'm whatever, XYZ as it pertains to you. And then exploring that and saying, okay, why am I like this? Why do I feel this way? What is coming up for me? What insecurity, whatever it is, and explore it. And through that exploration, then you can find you can get revelation and you can be like, oh, this is why. Right. So I think that's all I had to say. That's it. Um, like I said, this will be probably more so the form of content, just coming on here, whatever, popping, saying whatever is on my heart, and then just popping back off and not being burdened with like, oh, I need to edit it and like do my intro and outro and put the music over and da da da. Like, I love doing that, but I want to be here and I just want to show up. And I feel like I feel like, well, I know for a fact God has told me that it's time for me to start using my voice. He's told me that multiple times, and I've tried to explore different avenues of doing that, but I think this is where I'm supposed to be, and so I'm not gonna let things like recording the perfect video and editing it and whatever all those things and having the perfect setup and the right lighting and I'm not gonna let those things continue to stop me from being here and showing up. And even like, oh, my kids are here, they're loud, whatever, I can't. It's late right now. I'm real sleepy. I don't know if you can tell how red my eyes are, but I don't want to let those things be excuses anymore. So, anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Thank you for just like listening to me chit chat. I'd love to hear any feedback that you have, any thoughts that you might have. And then, yeah, until next time.